How is everybody doing? That's what I like to hear. Well, for those of you who don't know, I'm Val Staples, the event director for PowerCon. I'm so happy so many of you are here today. We have a very special panel today. And I know a lot of you are confused as to what this panel is about. Well, I'm kind of confused myself, and I'm eager to find out. But I'm not the one to tell you about it. Instead, let me introduce to you the one and only Kevin Smith.
Hey, folks. Thank you for coming out. Number one, give it up for Val, man. Without him, there is no PowerCon. Thank you for being here. This is my first PowerCon. Certainly not my first convention period, but my first PowerCon, and a delight to be here. You can feel the fervency. I've spoken to a lot of people. The passion is there. It's really inspiring. But I just want to share a quick thing that it had happened to me. It didn't happen to me. It wasn't a bad thing. It was a great thing on the sales floor. Not only are we here to talk to Rob today and whatnot and honor him for his work, but also, like, I came to shop as well. So before we got started, I was like, do we have time to go shop? Because there was, I saw cells for sale. Animation Inc. Archive is one of the companies that's down there. So went through and picked out a bunch of cells, me and my friends. And the dude who runs the booth, one of the two dudes that run the booth, was like, here, man, look at this one here. And, you know, it's cells of animation from the show. And, you know, I guess in some cases, viewed through the eyes of perverts, these cells could be suggestive in some way. So when it was pointed out to me, because I would never see it through these eyes, I was raised Catholic, for heaven's sakes. So when I looked at the cells, suddenly I saw it, and I was like, oh, I guess I know what you mean. And he's like, we're doing a whole series of these. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, we found every cell, because they've got all the cells from the Filmation archive. They're like, we went through all the cells, and we found all the cells that are remotely suggestive, and we're going to put them under a series called 50 Shades of Grayskull. I said, you, sir, are a professional comedy writer. Absolutely lovely to be here, ladies and gentlemen. I am a big genre fan. I'm a big, obviously, DC, Marvel Universe fan, but the MOTU universe as well, or Masters of the Universe, is right alongside with it. Unfortunately, it came right after I stopped collecting toys. And when I say stopped collecting toys, this is when my mother told me, you're 14, no more toys. So I watched my friends buy the toys, but I was fully engaged with the cartoon, you know, because I was an after-school kid and whatnot. So I'm well versed in the lore, but I'll be honest with you, I don't hold a candle to anyone in this room, and particularly to Val and his friends. I've been working on some stuff that, like, they've been incredible resources on, man. This thing that Rob's working on as well. So without further ado, we should probably talk about that. Rather than me sit up here and talk about my bona fides, I want to talk about another guy who's been carrying the flag, if you will, for the franchise for a long time, man. Mattel, as you know, the home of He-Man and Masters of the Universe. There's a great team of folks over there who are really interested in, like, keeping it alive and thriving and going and stuff. And Rob did that in the pages of Infinity War, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So welcome to the stage, man, the great Rob David, everybody.
Hello, hello.
How long have you been at Mattel at this point?
75 years. No, I have been there for 8 years.
And when you got there, were you well versed in He-Man and Masters of the Universe?
I was a fan growing up. I played with all the toys. I got into it through the box art, which is what floored me first and drew me in. And I learned to write, I think, by playing with the figures and being like, He-Man. And when I got to Mattel, I've told the story, I actually told this about 40 minutes ago, but they gave me all the Bibles for every show that ever had come out beforehand, and I read them all, and then I realized that you guys are the unofficial Bible of the brand. Just reading all the stuff that you guys say online, that's what really informed me.
What was the idea behind the DC series that you did? Was it like, hey man, we just got to keep this in the public eye, or did you have a story that you wanted to tell?
I had a story I wanted to tell. I really wanted to tell a story that grounded all the characters we knew and loved and progressed them. I wanted to tell the story we were waiting for, and I wanted to do things where you took someone like Prince Adam and you explored who Adam was in relation to He-Man, and what if there was no Adam? What would He-Man be then? And what if Skeletor got the power? And what's the destiny of Tila? I wanted all of the factions to come together and tell our own Ragnarok, before there was a major motion picture Ragnarok, that kind of a story to move the ball forward and really satisfy things that we remember from the original.
How do you get Adam's voice down? In print, it's one thing when you're watching the show, clearly the actor could inflect and whatnot, but how do you get it down on the page? Because that was one of the things I really liked. Like, I'm not going to say it's easy to nail He-Man because that sounds dirtier than I meant it, but it's harder to grab Adam because Adam represents us. When we sit down and watch the show, we want to see the heroics, but Adam is our way in. How do you handle that in this day and age? It was much easier when you would watch the show because everything is like moral oriented. But like when you're just kind of like, I'm just going to tell a story where at no point during my story do the characters have to turn to the camera and explain the moral of the story. Like, how do you write the hero at that point?
Yeah, I think with Adam, he's like you say, he's tough also because he's usually he's the center of the circus in a way. He's like and everybody else around him gets to be wacky and wild and crazy and kooky, and he's more of the kind of like the straight man. But I think what makes him so special is that he's us. He's all of us. He's he is. You look at him on the surface, and you wouldn't think much of him necessarily, aside from the fact that he was born a prince, which is not a bad thing to happen to somebody. But he really is unassuming. You wouldn't think that he's the most powerful man in the universe, and that's kind of the point of the whole thing, that he really does have the power, just like all of us really do inside have the power. So he's really embracing the fact that he is the entry point of view character. He's a little bit of Peter Parker, a little bit of Steve Rogers, a little bit of Billy Batson, and all Adam.
What when it went out there in the world, like anybody creates something, you always get a little nervous how people are going to respond to it, particularly something that has a fan base that's been around for as long as the MOTU fan base. What kind of reaction did you get? Did you find you were welcomed, or did you find people being like, "You don't know He-Man"?
I mean, I think it was a growing process. I mean, I think what fans don't mind new exploration so long as they feel that you know the core and you respect the core. It's like you got to know the rule before you dare to break it. And I think I was so benefited from getting to know you guys, and I think you knew that we were doing this with love. We love these characters so much that we want to see them progress and grow. And I think the fact is, as long as you honor the core, it's always fun to explore the possibilities, and I think fans embrace that.
It's just such a rich tapestry in terms of its mythology, in terms of the history of the show. Everyone talks about now in the business like IP and like I want something that everybody knows, something that has existed. This is something that has like a turnkey universe to it.
Absolutely.
Just like how, one day Marvel figured it out and turned on their cinematic universe. DC took them a minute, but they turned on something as well and whatnot. Everything finds its time. Yeah. And I think when you pointed out Ragnarok, you're absolutely right. Because when I remember watching that, two things went through my head was like, oh, Flash Gordon, the movie, and He-Man, the Masters Universe. Like, you could, after that movie, there's no excuse why you couldn't, like, have it enter the mainstream. And I know there was the Mike Young series, which, like, I enjoyed as well. But why do you think, like, they can't do like a current day Masters of the Universe animated series? Like, wouldn't it be badass if you could do like a series that like honors the classic era, really just picks up where the classic era left off, like so that it felt like a continuation almost.
Yeah. Well, I don't know, Kevin. I don't. That'd actually be pretty damn cool.
It would just seem like a no-brainer because there's a world of content out there. Everyone's looking to do something.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's getting their chance to sing their song. It seems like. I mean, everyone's got a show. I mean, there's Ant-Man got a movie, for goodness sakes.
You got two.
He got two movies.
I know. Look, this is about as close as I'll ever get to the throne. So I could pitch to you, like for like a. You represent Mattel. I'm not pressuring you in as much as like if it's a bad idea, it's a bad idea. But like if I had a good enough idea, would you take it seriously?
All right. Okay. I'm cool. Okay.
Yeah.
It's kind of like being proposed to in public.
All right. Whole thing's in black and white. No.
It's different. It's bold.
You'll just make the characters pop more, you know what I'm saying? No, here. If I was going to do like a modern day Masters of the Universe cartoon, I'm a purist, so I would want to do like the episodes they didn't do that I like always hoped they would. Like, you know, man, Skeletor, there's never once where I was like, man, Skeletor came close. You know what I'm saying? Like, and every time I watched an episode,
it's a tragedy, really.
Yeah, it was a lot of but not, but like, wouldn't it have been badass if like he got way closer? Like, what if like, this is my dream, okay? I'm not saying like take this and make it dark. I don't think you have to make something dark to make it modern or new, but I think you can tell a story with Masters of the Universe that felt like the be-all, end-all story. Felt like almost the conclusion to the classic era. Feels like the...
Give us the story we always wanted to see. Is what we're trying to go?
Yes.
And then see where we can go from there?
Yes. But in order to do that, one would have to have like a pretty amazing partner. Because you guys don't have a channel of your own, do you?
No, it's like we need some type of a streaming service, like an SVOD player. Does anyone?
Well, the thing is, Masters of the Universe, when I was a kid and when we were all younger, was available like at the drop of a hat, like after school, generally speaking, and stuff. We knew where we could find it. But it's a different world now. I wouldn't even know what network that was on, like what it was back in the day. So I wouldn't even know how to find it. So you'd have to send people to a place that's different, man. Not like TV, something better than TV. No.
No.
Not so much HBO. Some other place, I think.
Netflix? PowerCon?
Here would be my wish. I wish to God that we could do like a Masters Universe series at Netflix. There. I said it.
Well, there's really two things. I mean, I'm going to go out on a limb right here and just say, as far as Mattel is concerned, that rocks. And that's an instant green light. And if we could get another green light from somebody else, maybe who might be sitting in front of me, who's probably really embarrassed right now, that would be really, really cool. Ted Biaselli from Netflix, if we pitched you this idea, oh my God! Oh my God!
Now, I'm no lawyer, but I believe this is legally binding. If there's anybody in this world who can grant this wish, it's Teddy, man. Teddy, we really feel like Netflix is the place for Masters of the Universe. So much so that, well, we did it. We put a little something together.
But the only thing to summon it, we're all going to have to say, hold our swords aloft and say the magic words. So I want to just repeat after me. By the power of Grayskull. Now, we, not I, we have the power. Oh, there we go. There you go, ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen, an original Netflix anime series, Masters of the Universe Revelation. This is being brought to you by the good folks at Mattel and the good folks at Netflix and the good folks who they've allowed us to put together on a little team to do the show. Shall we?
Yeah, I mean, this is a Netflix original series, an original anime series, produced by Mattel Television. Kevin is, I'm proud to announce, is the showrunner and executive producer.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, remembering, temper this, I did make yoga hosers. So let's hope for the best. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, the really nice thing is we get to have fun and play in the MOTU sandbox and stuff. But I'll be honest with you, the good folks here at PowerCon have made it largely responsible in many ways. Val and his friends in heman.org have created an invaluable resource that me and the writers have been tapping on a regular basis. Fandom has kept this alive, and fandom is going to feed the thing. We're not making something that's like, we're reimagining it through the prism of the guy that made Mallrats. Not at all. Not at all. We are honoring what has gone before, man, and everybody on this team feels that way. It's the purest thing you're going to see next to what you used to watch when you were a kid, man. We're going to give you the episodes that you always wanted to see. And I've seen the outline. We've been working on it for a while. I've seen character designs. We have amazing stuff planned for you, man. It's really, really cool. Very cool.
I just want to I want to echo what Kevin's saying and put in the context. Masters is back, okay? It is, I mean, we've been talking about this for many years now and what it means to raise the big tent of this franchise. The tent is rising, okay? We have
I see a few tents rising.
Yeah. I mean,
There'll be no jokes like that in the show, I swear. It's going to be all meow all the time, I swear.
but I want just the spirit of this. This is, we have a major movie that we're doing with Sony where we're going to be honoring what you remember, but also trying to reach the next generation of kids. And then we have what I'm so excited about with this, which is the love letter to the show we grew up on. And what I think is amazing about what Kevin is bringing to this is two things. Respect to the material. When I first met you, you were my first choice to work on with this and to showrun this. And I remember going to your house for the first time to try to get you, to see if you'd want to play with me.
Well, you had all the best toys.
Yeah. And you know, and Kevin knew the material, and he's a fan of the genre, and every single time I've worked with you, and every single time you know more and more and more, and he's got the encyclopedia with like post-it notes and everything, and to the point where now he's frankly starting to scare me a little bit with his depth. He's like Neo in the Matrix, where he's like, I know kung fu, right? He just knows this and knows the characters, and which leads me to the second thing, which is. I think, Kevin, you bring so much humanity to it. It's so character-driven, so emotional. Like all of your work, like Chasing Amy, it always has such a beating heart to it, and the characters are always the most important thing. And you're really going to see that delivered in this story.
That is that's because the source material laid it out for us as such. There's plenty of action, of course, and when we're writing our scripts. We're working with a fantastic team of animators, the good folks at Powerhouse Animation. Give it up for them, man. They did Castlevania.
They did this poster. Beautiful.
The good folks at Powerhouse told us when we were writing our scripts, they were like, "Look, don't worry about the action stuff. Like that's what we live to do." So in your script, just take care of all the character and all the relationship stuff. And then when you want something exciting to happen, just write fighty. And I have had the best time writing fighty. And not having to figure out. Generally, you like painstaking over every line going like, all right, well, Beastman punches He-Man first, and then He-Man flips. And then these guys are like, don't write any of that. Just write fighty. So now we write these really intense interpersonal connection scenes because that's kind of what the show was. There was a lot of, it was a relationship.
Oh, we shall fighty, He-Man.
Yes. And then, fighty. But it's the foundation is relationships, and that is kind of like my wheelhouse. So I love the action stuff we do in the show, and I'm sure the good folks at Powerhouse will make it look amazing. But I'm really most thrilled about like the character interplay we got going on so far. The relationships we got going on really honors the source material and feels like a continuation. It's one of the things I liked about this show, and one of the things I like about most entertainment I like, whether it be like The Flash or Supergirl, He-Man. I like characters that like each other. I like that they get along. I like that they're a family. I like that they're friends. There's warmth there. So we lean into that in a big, bad way in Revelation.
I think that's a great point because, I mean, you said it before, you know, it's not just dark. You know, we're not just going for something dark and brooding and gritty. But that doesn't mean that there's not drama and stakes. I mean, the stakes have never been higher, but there's still humor and warmth, and these characters genuinely love and care for each other, and that's why you care about what happens to them.
And we got real human beings behind the show, not just us as well. Can we show them the writers?
Yeah.
Hey, man, let me introduce you to the folks with whom we're going to be telling this story. Come on up real quick. Tim, Eric, Dia, and Mark. Join us up here, if you will. And then do we have the Powerhouse Boys? Where are the Powerhouse Boys? Come on up, Brad.
And Melanie and Teddy, come on up here.
Melanie, get on up here. We're going to get you up here. You watch. This is the team, ladies and gentlemen. These are the faces, the human beings behind the storytelling. We had a great writer's room. We've had a great time working together. Everyone pulled together a fantastic story that we feel, well, it certainly excited Mattel and whatnot. But none of this happens, really goes anywhere without Teddy, man. Like, Teddy is all of you. He's been going to PowerCon since the beginning. Keeping the flame alive.
This whole event is meant to embarrass Teddy.
Yeah, basically. No, Teddy, like, honestly, like, I've been in the business now 25 years, and mostly in my end of the business and stuff, which is no business whatsoever. But sometimes I go into the mainstream world, and so I've dealt with mainstream folks in corporate world and whatnot. And I've never met anyone like Teddy. He made us so excited to work on something we were already excited to work on. And you know how like you always see something that somebody takes from your childhood and adapts, and you'll see a trailer and you're like, oh my Lord, it's gonna be everything. And then you go pay to see it and you're like, screwed again. Like, that's because there's generally some exec somewhere who's like, thinks they're smarter than the source material. Like, well, you don't need this. Like, well, that's in the comics or that's in the cartoon. You should change it to this. In Teddy, we found somebody who represents the entire audience. Every time we throw an idea out there, he can yay or nay it and stuff, based on being a part of this audience and knowing what the audience wants. So when you hear about stuff like, hey, they're taking something I've always loved and they're gonna do it again or something like that, they're rebooting it or they're sequelizing it or they're taking it further, moving the ball. Sometimes you based on history, you're right to be like, ugh, I don't know if they're gonna get it. In terms of this project that we're all working on, it will never step off the path because the world's biggest He-Man fan is at the helm. The whole thing exists. The reason that we're going to Netflix is because of Teddy, man. So that's all a way of saying. Teddy! That is all a great way of saying that, like, if you don't like what you see, the person to look up is Teddy. You know, some people have been waiting for a long time for this, and some people don't even know how much they're going to love this until they discover it and whatnot. But you rarely ever get to see the instigator, the face of what puts a thing in motion. Let's get him up here. Give it up for Teddy, man. Come on up here, man. Show him your face, Teddy. Come on. This is the face of fandom right here. I think we could all say stuff, but I honestly feel like you should hear a little bit from the man himself, man, because my Lord, he loves it. You're gonna talk. I'm telling you, when he sat there with us in the writer's room, my heart soared. You don't get execs like this every day or any day, and these cats will tell you as well. Most execs, most people are like, I don't know, that sounds dumb, or I don't know, make it cheap. This guy was so not that guy. This guy was excited. He was on the floor and crawling forward, talking about, ooh, what if Cringer did that, you know, and shit like that. So it was astounding and a great creative thing to be a part of. Like, we weren't just handed the reins and said, figure it out and come back to us when you're done. Like, the person who instigated it all came to our meetings, had input and whatnot, and his input was good, like legit great ideas. Every time we sat there, I'd be like, that's a legit good idea. And then I stopped being surprised after the first like 20 minutes because he was a gold mine. So he lives and breathes He-Man. There's a very embarrassing photo of him wearing a Snuggie that all the writers pass around amongst ourselves.
No, we don't have it in the deck.
Oh, it's beautiful. Anytime we're doubting or anytime we're
on
sitting there going like, are we doing the right thing? We just say, do it for him. And so give it up for Teddy, man. Teddy, say something.
This is my 7th PowerCon. I came to the first one when we were at the LAX Sheridan, 4 Point Sheridan, LAX. I met so many wonderful people. MOTU is my number one. Everybody has their number one, whether it's Batman or Spider-Man, whatever. Masters has always been my number one. When Rob and I just sort of, somebody said, you really need to meet Rob David. Like, you should get to know that guy. And we did, and we had one of the best breakfasts I've ever had with somebody in a comparable position. Whatever he said just now, it's not true. It's this entire run, and Rob is just as much a part of this, if not more so. This is the Rob David panel. We had one of the best breakfasts ever. And we just kept talking, and we just kept saying, man, I wish we could just, what do we got to do to get our companies to want to do this. And I said, all right, let me go back. Let me try to work on my end, and you try to work on your end, and let's just see if we can move this ball forward. And then I had this unceremonious meeting with Brad, and we just started. I said, hey, you guys like Masters of the Universe? And Brad was like, oh! And he's like, I got this dude who loves it. And I said to Rob, hey, what about Powerhouse? And it just started to slowly do. And then Rob said, what about Kevin Smith? And I went, you're never gonna get him. Sure, go ahead, go try, go ahead. Like, I was like, yeah, it's a great idea. Never gonna happen. Rob was like, we got Kevin Smith. I was astounded. I was like, isn't he like legit? Like he wants to do a He-Man cartoon? So then we go back to Netflix and we're like, hey, we're gonna do this with Kevin Smith. And they're like, really? Okay, we need a press release, we have to do that. Like then it all became real. And then we hired this team. These people are real writers. They're real writers. They're good. I've read them. I've hired them. They're good writers. I'll let these guys introduce them, but this is the team. This is it.
Give it up for Teddy. We'll go to the writers next, but let's hit Powerhouse because they're on their feet right now. Yeah. Brad, what do you want to tell them about what this thing's going to look like, man? They did Castlevania. Give it up for these kids.
Thank you. So at Powerhouse, we're pretty well known for the fight choreography type stuff that we do. Fighty. And so one thing growing up with Masters, we always wanted to see the fights that we weren't quite allowed to see. You know, the actual sword play and the beating up and people getting thrown through giant walls and all of that other sort of stuff. And getting the opportunity to show the godlike powers of the masters of the universe is just something we really, really wanted to do. So what we're trying to do is get all the imaginary scenes that you had playing with the figures as a kid and get that box art to come to life and really do it the way that the fans have always wanted it done.
Tim, tell them where you came from before this.
Oh man, I came from watching a lot of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe as a kid.
Good answer.
I wrote a movie called Reign of the Supermen that came out earlier this year, and thank you. And I just have to, since you're not going to say it. I have had. This is our first chance to work together. I've never worked for somebody who works as hard and is so talented. Kevin Smith, well, and Rob David, but other.
Good answer.
It's an inspiration and it is a joy to work with you. You are classic.
Hi, I'm Eric. I have worked with a person who works as hard and as wonderful as Kevin Smith. It was Kevin Smith. I worked with him on Supergirl a whole big bunch, and when he transformed into He-Man here, he pointed his sword at me, and Cringer became Battle Cat. I'm really just Kevin's Cringer. And I was scared, but now I'm really excited to go into this with you guys.
He's less Cringer and more Battle Cat. Eric wrote if you ever saw any of the episodes of Supergirl that I did, he wrote the best ones. He's fantastic. So we were lucky to get both him and Tim. Dia.
Hi, I'm Dia. I just got off. I ended it on a Friday. I started this on a Monday. Magic the Gathering, also for Netflix. I could also say I really love He-Man along with everyone on the stage, but I also really like you guys because during writing I've been watching a lot of YouTube unboxing videos of toys for the really intricate details, and everyone catches all of them, and I've been watching Pixel Dan nonstop. Great. I won't tell you which ones I've been watching, but yeah.
Dia, wait, before Mark goes, tell him your shirt story, man.
Oh, no!
Dia took this so seriously, she cooked a shirt. Is that what that picture
Yeah,
was?
well, I got a shirt.
Yeah.
It came in the mail and it fit me, and the placement of He-Man was unfortunate, one might say, because it just.
Some of that 50 Shades of Grey skull
Yeah,
nonsense?
it was just not. I wasn't coming on stage in that. So then I got this one. It was 2 sizes too big, so I washed it twice and I boiled it, which you can shrink a shirt, boiling it, and now I fit.
She boiled a shirt for you people. Give it up for her. Mr. Mark Bernardin is my co-host on a podcast called FatMan Beyond, and we've been teasing this for a few weeks, going, we're working on something.
We gotta show you guys.
Oh my Lord! Give me your bona fides. Where do you come from, Mark?
Let's see. I just came off of a show called Carnival Row for Amazon, and then before that, Treadstone, and then before that, Castle Rock, and then before that, Alphas, and then before that, playing like interchanging the legs on my He-Man dolls to make sure that like the various colors of the rainbow all got to be on the bottom of He-Man. But yeah, that's what I've been up to, man.
These are the folks that are pulling together what you're going to see, and we can't give out too many details about what that is.
Would you like to see a little tease of the story we've been cooking up? All right, we can arrange that.
The approved one. It's all good with Teddy until there's an unapproved document, and then suddenly everything goes up. A radical return to Eternia, ladies and gentlemen. Revelation is a direct sequel series to the classic era of Masters of the Universe, featuring fan favorites He-Man, Orko, Cringer, and Man-at-Arms. The story pits our heroic warriors and guardians of Castle Grayskull against Skeletor, Evelyn, Beastman, and the vile legions of Snake Mountain. But after a ferocious final battle forever fractures Eternia, spoilers, it's up to Teela to solve the mystery of the missing Sword of Power in a race against time to prevent the end of the universe. Her journey will uncover the secrets of Grayskull at last. This is the epic He-Man and the Masters of the Universe saga fans have waited 35 years to see. And we have a full, obviously you heard the characters we're playing with, but we've got, of course, many more characters to play with throughout the universe, and they all come to play as well.
Will Stinkor make an appearance?
Stinkor plays. Hopefully you'll be there. Oh!
I was told to come up and cut it off and take a big selfie of everybody.
All right, let's do this. Jason Mewes, ladies and gentlemen.
Also, I am playing He-Man. No, I'm not.
All right, we're going to take a big picture with all y'all behind us, so maybe you can all stand up. We can turn the lights on so we can see them and stuff, and we're going to selfie it up. We're trying to selfie it up. Somebody's got a photo. Yeah, I don't know how I was going to do. We're going to have to bunch in. But hold on one second. Don't anybody leave. Well done. Ladies and gentlemen, I think, do you have anything else you got to give me?
I'm so ecstatic to be able to share this with you guys, and it's such a labor of love, and I just want to say again that all of the passion that you guys have invested and feel for this material over the last 35 years, you guys have been carrying the torch, and now I really want to say we're kicking off. He-Man, Masters of the Universe is back, and Mattel is 1,000% committed to unlocking the full potential of all of these characters, from the origin lines of the new figures that are coming out in the fall of 2020, to the movie with Sony, to Kevin Smith working on Masters Revelation, and more to come that we will be back to tell you about sometime soon. This is it, guys. The moment we've been waiting for. Masters is back.
That is all we got for you, ladies and gentlemen. But finally, in closing, thank you all for being here. Thanks for making the time and stuff. By the power of Grayskull, have a great PowerCon. See you later.